All right, we're sitting down with Oscar now. Oscar is from VirtualFly. He's traveled all the way here from Spain. And Oscar, tell us a little bit more about yourself from a pilot's perspective. So where you're at in your training, in your career path, and how that relates to instrument.
Perfect. So hello everybody. I'm Oscar Mateos from Barcelona. As Chris said, I'm in charge of sales and marketing at VirtualFly. And well, in my pilot career at this moment, I'm a private pilot. I just finished my ATPL, my air transport license theory, 14 EASA exams, which were hard, but we're done with that. And next is my actual practice, my flying hours. So building instrument flying, multi-engine flying. I've done some instrument flying at home with VirtualFly products, of course. So I know my basics and I know the theory quite well, but really excited to do this approach here into Kenai and learn a little bit more, of course, from a CFI eye.
Great. So we did this approach the other day when we flew, and you guys will get to see some of that footage too. So just like John, we'll compare the exact same approach within the simulator that we did in the real airplane. So what's really nice about this is going from the airplane to the simulator, or the simulator to the airplane. It kind of doesn't matter, back and forth. You're going to get a lot of the same information, a lot of the same practice. And so although this is the first time Oscar's sitting down at the simulator, a lot of it's going to feel familiar to him. Let's hope.
Yeah.
So because Oscar is quite new to instrument, we're going to do just a couple maneuvers first, make sure that he can stay on a heading and stay on altitude. From what I remember the other day, he did quite fine with that actually. I was hands off the entire approach down to Kenai, so we're just going to kind of see how all that goes. And then Oscar, once we're kind of on an inbound course, what I'll have you do is we'll pause the simulator and we'll dial in the procedure, the flight plan, all that sort of thing, get you set up and ready. Obviously, when you're doing a real flight, you would get this done way ahead of time, right? You plan way ahead of time for the approach, you brief the approach, all that sort of thing. So we're going to utilize the simulator in this case and just pause when we need to and go over things, all right? So
sounds good.
First off, I'm going to have you keep a heading of north. Okay. So if you can turn your heading knob on the G1000 to, yep, just right exactly at north.
Perfect.
And we'll start there, all right? So I'm going to, actually, let's also do an altitude of 5,000 feet. So you're right there as well.
Okay, 5,000 feet, so I'll select 5,000 feet here.
Yep, correct. All right, so here you come.
Let's go. So I'm going to maintain 2,500 here. And I'm going to start turning north.
Good, yep, turn left to 360.
Okay, so 5,000 feet and 360 degrees.
All right, looking good. Do a left turn now to 180.
Okay, 180. So first thing is I will actually go 180 here. 180 and left, yeah?
Correct. You see right under the top of your HSI where it's counting down, like 310, 309. Yep. So you see that magenta line right below that?
Yes.
So that's your rate of turn indicator. Mm-hmm. So you're half standard rate right now. If you were to turn even more, it'll pull you over to standard rate. So go ahead and keep standard rate.
So that's standard rate, right?
Correct. There. And actually the standard rate is very similar to those yellow wings in the middle of the PFD. So that would be kind of level with the horizon when you're at standard rate, close to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That angle? Okay. All right, good job on your altitude and everything. Ooh, look at that roll out. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Oscar clearly knows how to fly, so Oscar, let's fly this direction for about a minute, and then we're going to turn back the other direction. We're going to pause, load up the approach, and we'll head in on the RNAV runway 02 left into Kenai for the LPV. All right, looks nice.
Super.
So I'm going to hit pause, and then we'll have you load up the approach.
Okay. So it's Papa Alpha Echo November, right?
Correct.
Papa Alpha Echo November.
I just said correct without actually listening to what you said, but yes, it is.
Okay, so procedures.
Now, just really quick tip, all of those same buttons are available just to the right of your PFD. So that's more within your scan, right? It's on the right-hand side of your PFD right there, the flight plan and procedure.
Okay, yeah, here. Okay, yeah.
So you know what I'm saying?
That's
if you're an actual IMC and I had you
Okay.
do this without a pause button, then that's hardly outside your vision. You can kind of keep track of where you're going.
And I'm actually going to be with this, so
Right.
I'm going to, it's much better if I...
Correct. Cool. So, yep, go ahead and do it now. So do it on that other one. Do
I'll
it
do it
procedure
here.
there. Yep. You just hit flight plan, by the way. There you go.
Okay. So the RNAP 02 left GPS LPV.
Correct.
And we're going to start at ACG.
I think it's FOPT. We're going to go direct FOPT.
FOPT.
Remember that?
Yeah,
So
that's
look at
correct.
your, before you click that, look at your chart there.
Exactly, yeah. here it
FOPT.
is.
Okay, perfect.
FOPT initial approach fix. We have those other initial approach
Those other
fix.
feeders, yeah.
Okay, we'll activate that, and it's here.
Good. Yep, just go back. Yeah, clear it out, and then, yeah. And then it
Perfect.
takes it from the other side. Great. Looking good. All right, it looks like at FOPT we got to be at 2,000 feet. We are 10 miles away from FOPT, so that's plenty of time to get down to 2,000 feet. So how do you feel about just going for it?
Let's go for it.
Okay. Let's actually, before we do that, let's brief the approach a little bit.
Okay.
So looking at your approach chart there on the left, so I like to go with kind of our progression plan. Scroll to the top of the page. So just identifying the approach. So this is the plate for the RNAV GPS runway 2 left into Kenai. All right, so we're actually using the right plate. So that all looks good. This will be an RNAV approach, so if we lost integrity or something, then the whole panel would tell us. It's not like an ILS where we'll identify a frequency, for example. It's pretty straightforward and simple for us to fly. We're going to be starting at FOPT, and from FOPT, we'll go down to
Capru.
Capru, and Capru looks like it's the final approach fix.
Yes.
We should be intercepting that at about 1,700 feet. And then we're going to the runway 2 left missed approach point.
Yes.
And what is our missed approach altitude?
So our missed approach altitude will...
Or our DA?
the decision altitude will be 344.
Okay, so let's set that up in the reference area.
Okay. So minimums here, borrow 350.
Yep, the higher altitude, good. And you can hit enter or just, yep, good, all right. So that all looks nice. And our missed approach is straight ahead to T-Bone.
T-Bone.
What altitude?
T-Bone 2000.
Okay, pretty straightforward.
Perfect.
All right,
Put this to 2000 and we can go.
that'll work for me. All right, here we go.
FOPT initial approach fix.
Now, one thing I want you to pay really close attention to is the middle of that CDI. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
Yes.
Yeah, so that course deviation, it'll actually move in and out.
Yep.
So right now you're trending just barely to the right of that.
That's correct.
So keep that in line. Good. Start to practice now so that when you get closer it'll be even easier. All right. Good. Now, we don't need to do it right now because you already have it over on your G1000, but we could also load our flight plan within ForeFlight and keep that all up to date, right?
Okay.
And there are some Garmin systems, the new modern systems, the flight plans will talk back and forth to each other. I really do like the indications on ForeFlight. So that's nice because when you put that in that approach, it'll put a minimums right there on your plate. It'll show you that what are we at, 346?
Yes, 344.
All right, looking real nice. Now we're going to use this opportunity when you level off here and have a couple miles to get a bit slower.
Perfect.
And get configured for the initial approach. So I'm guessing it's going to be probably, I don't know, 2300 maybe. 2000 even works for me.
Okay, we can go to 2000. And we can maintain 100 knots on approach, or?
Right. Yeah. Initially, when we get to the final approach fix, we'll kind of do a level off there if we can, and we will get to 80 knots. And if I remember, configuration-wise, it's 1850 or 1900 on the RPM, 1 notch of flaps for that, and about 350 feet per minute.
So 100 above, we're going to start leveling up here. We're getting to FOP-T. And then we'll be 0-1, we'll continue 0-1-6 down to Capru. Try to maintain those 2000.
Don't forget to trim out anything you need to be as hands-off as you need to be.
Yeah. Shall I go down to 100?
Yes, sir. Yep, you just cross FOP-T, so.
Perfect.
But you're at 2,000 feet, and you have 5.6 miles to descend 300 feet.
Okay.
So there's really no rush at all. That glide slope isn't even showing up yet.
Yeah. Let me just go down.
If you look on your HSI, it says GPS term.
Yeah.
So that means that our HSI is getting more sensitive as we get closer. And as we get closer and it picks up that LPV signal, then it's going to turn to GPS LPV. So you'll see that happen.
What is term for
terminal?
For terminal.
Yep, you're getting close to the terminal, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you dial altitude to 1700 just so we know. See how we deviated?
Yep.
So get that altitude to 1700 so we don't go below that before Capru. You're doing real good though. Nice, good, sensitive lateral navigation you're doing right now. So set your 1700 on your altitude. There you go. There you go. And then we're just gonna hang out here for 3 more miles. Also a good chance to do checklists. That kind of it's your last chance before you really get into the danger zone. I don't know, Top Gun reference, where you really want to be focused.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to get a checklist for this. It's like specific to this model Cessna. It's just so like it becomes a habit to do it at certain stages.
Yeah, it's good point.
Otherwise, you're just so enveloped in the instrument flying that you forget, you know.
Yeah, I mean, instrument flying, solo flying, hand flying, there's so much going on. And then communicating and then checklists, it's amazing.
Yep.
So trying to maintain that, look, you can start to see that LPV capturing. I'm still maintaining 1700 and 100 knots. And then there we have the LPV almost.
Okay, I see it creeping in now at the top of the glide slope indicator.
Yeah.
Okay, so 100 knots, 2300. And you're a mile away. Go 1 notch of flaps.
1 notch of flaps in.
That'll be our final configuration.
I'm going down to 90 knots. And I can see we're capturing the magenta diamond.
Yes, sir. And I'm getting used to this too. Probably the best place to put down those flaps is right as you capture.
Yep.
Because that'll just let you start to descend.
Okay, so we're captured now.
Yep, so pull your power back to 2000. And that should bring your nose down. That should bring it, and start to stabilize that.
And then I can also put the second notch.
No, don't do second notch.
No.
We'll let it stabilize here. So yeah, keep it about 1900. I think that's what we were using before.
Yeah.
All right, so you're in glide path. You're gonna work on your lateral navigation. Everything's looking good so far. I'm just gonna keep a close eye on you and not talk as much, okay? Nice small corrections, I like that. Great job.
Mile final runway 02 left.
Could have put the altitude for go around.
Just
in
approach,
case.
yeah, good idea.
You can see it's getting sensitive here.
Yep.
$500.
Check.
500.
Okay, looking out. Continue. And now I'll just go visual.
Yep, go visual, set it for landing. Your other notch of flaps when you're ready. Check your landing gear if you had it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, baby. All right, sir. Well done. Well done indeed. Okay, self-assessment, what do you think?
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was very much fun, and I mean, there's a lot of going on, of course, and when you're very much focused, for example, on the vertical navigation, then your lateral just, you can see it goes away, and on the other, you know, the other side. So you just have to go, your eye has to be everywhere. I tended to look here, and I try to focus just on the PFD, which I think is important for instrument flying. But yeah, I think it was quite good. I think I didn't pass the limits, vertical and lateral.
No, not at all. Not even close.
And it was good. I felt good.
Great. I felt the same way. I think with configurations, knowing the aircraft, the power settings, that sort of thing, we did the approach a little fast. Being a good pilot that you are, I can tell you're a good pilot. You figured it out. You figured out kind of what settings you needed for like a faster approach, which is not the end of the world, but we would want those kind of memory items, 80 miles, 80 knots.
Yes.
Setting those things. So that could have controlled it a little better. But man, without you practicing an approach at all, I haven't seen you really load one up and practice it while we've had this all set up. So that was very impressive. So tell me real quick, because you are privy to access to a VirtualFly simulator, you work for VirtualFly, how are you going to use this as you get into your instrument training?
So, of course, using a simulator for instrument training is absolutely essential, and I have the privilege to have simulators the headquarters there in Barcelona and all the bases that we have in the US. So I'm definitely going to use it in the headquarters, and in this case it's more a home simulation thing. So for example, while I'm doing my building, my instrument time building and my multi-engine time building, what I'll do is I'll try to replicate everything that I'm doing on real life beforehand in the simulator I have at home with the G1000, the flight controls. So that I think will give me a much better vision before jumping into the real airplane. And if I do an hour and a half instrument session, let's say I'm doing an ILS approach into Girona, which is a very typical area we fly into. If I do that at home with the G1000 that I have, if I had a setup like this, of course, I mean, I'm sure that I will learn much more once I do it in real life. It's just gonna bring it to another level. Doing it directly without going first into the simulator, I mean, it's the traditional way, but I don't think it's the correct way. And so, yeah, that's what I'm going to use it for. And that's what I think many instrument pilots that are starting and that are ongoing, like John, need to use it for. You know, before the real flight and possibly after, to figure out what was wrong, debrief, etc.
Right. Good. Yeah, many different ways to do it. I mean, you could front load an entire course with simulator work. You could get into the airplane a little bit first and then go back to the simulator, back and forth, like you said. So lots of different options depending on the student. And yeah, I think that went really, really well. Have you ever logged any instrument time, like instruction?
No, I've never done it.
All right, well, we're gonna sign your logbook. This is your first official instrument time.
Super.
In a simulator.
And on a VirtualFly simulator. That's
beautiful.
Awesome. In Alaska.
In Alaska.
Super.